It's Wes here from the Imaginary Wes Miser. I'm going to be doing another video here, and today we're going to be talking about patterns, apparel patterns. Probably not the most interesting topic in the world, but extremely important if you're going to make your line. If you're going to make clothes commercially or even just one-offs, like, for something artistic, you're always going to want to do a pattern. A pattern is like the foundation, it's like the blueprint of a garment. And, it's very technical. Like, even to produce a very basic t-shirt takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of effort and skill and knowledge to cut a t-shirt pattern. So we're going to talk more about that in this video. We're going to start with the basics, and this is one of the most basic foundations if you want to make clothes like commercially, or even if you're going to do, say, one-offs for customers. Even if you're going to be doing custom work, you're still going to need pattern blocks. You're still going to need set sizing. You're still going to need a base to work from, because that's going to save you a lot of time and effort in the end if you have to alter, if you have to start from a block, alter it for something for a client or even just for yourself. You have the block basic pattern. It's going to be so much easier for you to expand your line, develop your line. It's basically like the blueprint, the starting point, the foundation piece that you need, with your fashion business. And I'm telling you, I believe it's probably one of the most overlooked things. Like, I get people that get in touch with me that want things, and they don't realize like anything custom requires a pattern, or anything. Just they'll tell me, just make the neckline larger, like that's all I want, like, and they think that's easy. But even just to do something so basic as to change, how wide the neck is and stuff, it takes time, and it takes know-how, it takes skill to do it properly. Because with the pattern, when you get the pattern and it's good after you've created the sample, say you made your first pattern and you cut your sample, and you bring it to the seamstress. If the pattern is not good, she's going to have a lot of trouble sewing it together. And the other thing is sewing it together fast and well. So she's probably, if you come get she's a good seamstress and she cares, you come get your sample, she's going to say, look, like, there's some issues with the pattern. Like, I had trouble here with the armhole, or, the neckline, the neck band, this is the neck band, that's too long and it's not looking good, and I had to trim this out here. Or, maybe you designed the pattern in a way that, the armhole doesn't sew very well, and she's sitting there trying to cram the sleeve inside the armhole, and she's probably just so frustrated because every time you bring, a set of patterns to the factory, they just want to cut it, sew it as quick as they can, and make it look as good as they can, and then give it back to you. So they don't want troubles. They don't want the pattern to be janky. And you don't want that either. You're going to lose a lot of time, a lot of money, and it's going to save everyone a lot of frustration. So the starting point with your fashion line is your patterns, especially your pattern blocks. And then as you're expanding out, you'll cut a sample from the pattern that you created. You'll make the sample, and then you'll critique the sample. And basically, once you get your pattern good, like, I don't care how many samples you need to make or how many adjustments. Once it's good, it's good. And it'll sew well every time, and you can take it to a different seamstress. You can take it to a different factory, and if they're good at what they do, which most of them are always very experienced, very knowledgeable. Like, you can't really survive in this industry without for very long without having the skill and the ability to execute, good clothes that are sewn well and don't fall apart and don't have issues. So you, once it's unlocked, once that pattern's unlocked, you can grade it as large as you want, as small as you want. You can go size extra small, small, medium, large. I mean, I grade stuff all the way up to 5XL, to get the real oversized fit. But it all started with one pattern, to make the sample, which is I usually do large or extra large, for the pattern to start. And I'm telling you, I mean, when I have clients bring me bad patterns or patterns that need a lot of work, it's hell for everyone if they're not right. And then say you cut something, so you start sewing it, and you get a sample back, and you're like, oh, that's just bad. If it's the neckline, usually I'll rip off, like I'll take off the neckline, and I'll cut a new one after we've adjusted the pattern. But it's just a headache. So you want to get really good patterns when you're starting out, and you want to have, it's either if you're creating the patterns or you're hiring a pattern maker. I mean, you want them to be really good at what they do. Like they're very meticulous with the sizing, because it's also your fit and your shoulder lines and everything. The way something drapes it's all the pattern. It's all like having the pattern spot on, and then you can build from there. And then that's why I started with this as the foundation, is getting those patterns very, very solid. I mean, this is a sleeve from a 5XL belly tee, and I mean, you want it on hard. You want your master papers on, or sorry, you want your master patterns on like harder paper, because when you're taking your wax and you're tracing it onto the fabric, usually, yeah, and go wrong side of the fabric as well. Don't trace onto the right side, obviously. But you want it to be very sturdy, and so you can get your notches, mark your notches. Notches are so important, obviously, for the sewing people. Marking it, size, and the name, the style, how many you have to cut. That's cut too. That's sleeve. This is a neckband. I buy this paper from Dollarama. I mean, I have patterns on, like my pattern maker has rolls and rolls and rolls of the hard manila paper. This is good enough if I just want to alter a pattern in my studio on my own without having to go to him. Like I just buy sheets of the white paper, and it works for me. And it's not overly expensive, the paper, but you want it on good paper. You want it on solid paper. You want it organized on a pattern hook, in sizes. You want it to be easy to grab and very organized, and these are very valuable to your line, these patterns. So it's not flashy. This thing is way more technical than it is glamorous, like cutting patterns. It's very time consuming, and it can be very expensive as well to do it properly. But I'm telling you that if you cheap out on the pattern now, you're going to pay later with garments that aren't right, or mistakes, or maybe even the factory's not going to want to take. Maybe they're going to call you in the middle of production and go like, look, we're having too much trouble sewing this. It's slowing us down. We're not making money. Like, we don't want this. They could do that. The factory could call you and basically tell you like, look, we're not going to make any money. We're going to lose money. You're taking up space. This is no good for anyone. And they could just drop your production. So, when you show up at a factory and you want everything smooth. Like, say you have timeline, like this has to be sewn within, say a week to 3 weeks, and I need to deliver to my store or my customers by then. Like, the last thing you want is your pattern to be crap. Like, you want it to be solid, you want it to be top notch, you want it to work very well, and you should always test your patterns with a sample. And it's wise if you say you change the fabric, like say you change the weight of the fabric, or sort of maybe you go from cotton spandex to like a poly spandex and it's a little different. You might want to cut another sample when you change the fabric, just to see how that fabric is and how it sews, and like, is the design, the design that you created, does that work? This is the neck, the front of the belly tee. I know you probably can't see it very well because there's not a lot of space, but yeah, that's the front of it anyway. It's got all the information, it's got all the notches. So, comment below, please subscribe. If you have questions about patterns, how to start, the basics, you can always email me or hit me up on this channel. I would love to help. I mean, it's so important that they're good and that they're managed properly. Thanks very much, and good luck with your patterns. And I hope you guys create great patterns that you can use from years to come. Thank you.